My name is James, and when we were in the accident, I was in the passenger seat. We were driving, and I was actually playing on my phone, so I wasn't really sure exactly what was going on, and all of a sudden I looked up and we were hydroplaning all around. And Laura was she was kind of freaking out, but it was long enough, we were hydroplaning long enough where I could tell her, like, alright, you're fine, you know, calm down, you can, and so she was doing fine, and all of a sudden she hit I think she hit like a dry patch of ground or something, and we caught and we flipped, or we rolled, and then rolled twice over on our sides, and then flipped one forward into a ditch of water. So I remember rolling, and then I kind of blinked, and then I remember just slamming upside down, and then I blinked again. It was weird because I remember blinking and then being upside down with no water in the car, and then blinking and opening my eyes again. It was totally covered in water. So when I was in the car, I was upside down, but I was stuck in my passenger seat. My seatbelt was locked, pushing me against the passenger seat. I was under for a while, and I was actually about to just kind of give up, and I was just going to take a deep breath of water because I figured that would be a little bit easier. But then at the last second, somehow I got the idea to try to slip out like the bottom. So so we looked around and I couldn't find Laura. So I called for her and stuff. I couldn't find her, and then I thought maybe she was back in the car. So I was just kind of feeling around for her, and I finally found her arm, but it kind of creeped me out because she was limp. So I pulled her out, and she stood right up. And I remember like her hair was in her face in the water and stuff. But I remember when she got out, she kind of took a big breath. One thing that I learned from this was just how fragile our lives are, or how quickly they can be taken away, and everything can change just in a second.
My name is Jessica Van Dyke, and I was heading home for Father's Day with some friends of mine, and on our way we ended up hydroplaning and flipping and rolling into a ditch and immediately immersed into water. I was in the back seat of the car, and it was only a two-door vehicle, and luckily some windows shattered around us. And then I was able to swim back through the two seats and then swim out the passenger side door, which somehow was opened, not really sure. And then we all swam to the side of the road. We're just driving down the road, and it's amazing to see how God works in so many mysterious ways. We had no idea what would be, coming to us this weekend. We, enjoying our lives, and all of a sudden this huge tragedy happens and totally shakes us up, and it just makes us remember that God is in control. I think we can learn from this experience in so many ways. Like, God's in control, and you never know what's going to happen, and He spares our lives, and He knows what is to come, and He knows that we still have a purpose. That's why all four of us are still here. He still has important things for us to do.
My name is Laura Winerski, and I was driving the vehicle home for Father's Day with James and Jessica and one other friend of ours. We left late Friday night. Two of the girls had to work, and so we didn't leave until about midnight, I think, or maybe 11 o'clock. And it had rained all day, but it wasn't raining at the time, and the ride was going fine. And then, roads were dark, they weren't lit, and we hit a flash flood, and we hydroplaned, and so the car snapped around, and we started rolling, and I think we rolled about 2.5 times, and I just remember the chaos and the noise, just crunching and screaming while we were rolling, and then everything just kind of went silent, and we stopped, and it took me a minute to figure out that we were underwater, but we were fully submerged instantly, upside down. I was just inhaling water, and so I just clasped my hands over my nose and my mouth and just kind of waited, because there wasn't really anything else that I could do. But after thinking that the only way we would get out of the car is if God came and took us out Himself, it was just kind of a weird moment, because you believe that God can do miracles, and I honestly believe that He would come down and take us out, but at that moment you don't know what God's will is. Is it God's will to save us, or is this really it? And at that time I thought a lot about my family and even this church, because like Jesse went to this church, and I just wished I could tell everyone how sorry I was. I always believed that God was working in your life and that God could work miracles for you. It just, again, His presence had just never been so tangible before. Some of the things that I feared or failed to trust God in were so frivolous. Like, I don't know, like I always would say I believe that God was in control of my life, but I don't know how much I actually meant that, especially in some of the things that I feared. Like, I think some of my biggest worries were things that were so small and so worldly. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned.